Hello everyone, SirMonkeySuit, Zappy here, back again with Ghost in the Shell standalone complex. We're on episode 6 of season 1, and just real quick, I have my air cooler on because it's really too hot to not have it on, but I've put it on the lowest setting, so it shouldn't be that bad. I mean, if you're watching, like my reaction, like the 10-minute cut version, because obviously the episode audio will be in there, alongside me, you shouldn't really notice it all that much. I mean, you might notice it obviously in the discussions and stuff like that, but yeah, and also for the full length where it's literally just me and nothing else, you might hear it now and again, but it's steady. It's on a steady sort of thing, so it shouldn't be annoying in any way. I've had to move it obviously from where it was, which is close to the mic, to over here, so it should be fine. Anyway, regardless, so yeah, in the last episode we had we're investigating a guy by the name of Nanao A, and I still don't know whether it's Nanao being his last name and A is like the initial of his first, or vice versa. I don't know. Not that that really matters, but anyway, we were investigating him because we got a little sort of the information from Togosa's sort of like another old mate of his back from the police force or whatever, that they were investigating this guy, and that the connection of him possibly being the Laughing Man because he was involved in Serrano genomics, right, and everything like that. But it turns out that at the very end of that episode, it was just a case of him wanting to take credit as being the Laughing Man. And if you go back into the discussion for last episode, I was talking about how it doesn't feel like it's one man more than it feels like a sort of anonymous group of people that are doing this. So I'm just interested to see what exactly happens continuing on from last episode, because it's about to go crazy, I feel like, and I want more information on regarding what this is. So yeah, we've got Kusanagi, who is at the sort of I don't know what it is, it's like a ball, it's like a gathering of people, and she's basically there to guard the superintendent general. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm expecting, because there was a pre-placed virus, right, that Nanao had put into place, that I guess is to control the people at the gathering, the party or whatever, to try and take out the general. So yeah, I mean, I feel like Kusanagi may have a work cut out for her in this one, but I'm excited to see. And I mean, that's the thing as well, is like, if it is going to work out that way, then how do you because would it be right to fire back and kill these people if they're just being controlled? You know what I mean? It's like it's a very a moral dilemma with all of that. But yeah, I mean, let's just get into it and see what we get. So yeah, if you do want to go watch the actual reaction, the 10-minute version, there's a link to the the video right there. There's also a link to the full length if you do want to watch it in full and not just the 10-minute cut version. Then the offer is there for you as well. But yeah, nothing else to really talk about. So we're going to get in episode 6 and see what we get. So without further ado, let's go. Okay, episode 6. Right, well, we got an interesting sort of end to that party, and how Section 9 in particular sort of deduced what possibly could be happening. And I think really what Aramaki said, it's weird because it's like the way that Aramaki sort of points things out, or the way character, specifically Aramaki, the way that he'll say these lines, and it'll almost be strictly for the viewer's benefit. I feel like, yeah, it's a case of, because obviously he's talking alongside Kusanagi, and it's nothing different from me kind of just theorizing after a reaction to something and being like, oh well, maybe this is the case because of the information and evidence that we have to go on. And it's kind of like you're just trying to you're putting pieces in the jigsaw puzzle and trying to find the ones that fit. So the big one for me was the fact that he mentioned that what he proposed, like it being the idea that 6 years ago was an initial thing that was essentially a seed that was planted, and now at this point the seedling is starting to sprout and grow. And as soon as he said that, it makes me think that it's more in house, that it's not just a case of a criminal, or somebody out there with just an ideology, something maybe like against the way society is run now. I mean, it can be that as well, but I think what it is it's definitely somebody in somebody in a high place, whether it's in the government, somebody involved in politics, whatever. I feel like that it was sown then. The seed was sown then, by whoever this person is. So let's just say hypothetically it is somebody from the government, somebody high up, somebody involved within the system that planted it, knowing that in the future this will spread out and he'll be far away from it. Because it seems as though it's like, I was kind of right in a way, but I wasn't completely on the mark last episode when I was talking about how I feel like the Laughing Man isn't a person. It isn't like an entity. It's kind of like a group of people doing their own thing. So I was right in the case that it's like an anonymous. It's like the group Anonymous. They don't really have meetings together. They all act individually. I suppose you could say they act standalone in a way, which you know what I mean. It's like, I mean, I think they alluded to that really, like in this episode. The reason why it's called Standalone Complex is that you've got all these individual people. None of them have any connection to each other, but it's all part of a complex system that they've got here, and that it's kind of sort of infecting and leaking its way into the world. And I think that's like the visual that we got at the end there, where Kusanagi's just looking at people and they have the icon on the back of their their jackets, and they've got kids have got them on their little bags, their lunch boxes, whatever. And I feel like that's the inkling I get, is that somebody high up that couldn't afford to be like to be the one that was found out to be the Laughing Man, right? The one that started all this. He could, if he was in a high place, obviously he couldn't get this out. And what was the way that he could do it without being directly involved? Well, do something, do something major, but something that can literally just be sort of swept to the wind, kind of thing, or swept under the carpet for a long enough period of time, where it becomes a case of almost so many people considering themselves the Laughing Man that there's so many people claiming it that the original person that sowed the seed is, it's like being what's the term? So if you're like in a crowd of people, you're invisible. That's not the term I was looking for, but it's the same thing, right? It's like, I don't know why I can't. It happens sometimes, But like in a crowd of people, there's so many people coming out now, and I feel like it's just going to get bigger and bigger. This event here was just an inkling, I feel like, of what is possible. But it's kind of almost like the start of a revolution in a way, is what it feels like. And I feel like, when Aramaki specifically said that it was a seed that was sown and now is sprouting up, I feel like that it's like the perfect crime in a way, because it's setting other people up, but not just one person. Like, you've got all these people that, out of their own reasons, whatever, that they weren't forced into doing this. Kusanagi claimed that it was there wasn't any virus involved. There wasn't any brainwashing, anything like that. That they just did this but there were those that said that like it was like given orders or whatever. I mean, between the three that we heard being interrogated, that were caught, all of them had a different sort of a different answer. You know, you had the guy that was like, "I am the laughing man." The police dude was just like essentially, what was it? He was giving orders as a death threat or something like that. And then the big guy who had the air propulsion arms, which was insane. He basically said there was no mention of anything like that. You know what I mean? Which is interesting. That so what I would have liked to have heard his interrogation more, because him saying that there was no connection there. I don't care about about the laughing man, anything like that. I don't even know what you're talking about, kind of thing. Is like, well, what was his deal? What did he get out of all of this? You know. But then I want to see really what the connection is then. Like, why is it that people are just coming out here and trying to kill a guy? I mean, because then the only connection really to people who aren't being brainwashed and they're doing this of their own accord, the only thing you can really look to is the press conference that happened a couple episodes ago. You know, where the first one came out and he basically threatened the Superintendent General's life. I mean, I guess it could be just a... Because you see, this is the kind of thing. It's like nowadays, right? When a shit ton of people, like basically all of us, are always questioning government, right? We're always questioning what this or corporations, anything like that. There's always in our minds, it's like they're always doing something fishy or something against the moral, a moral code, right? They're not doing things morally right. Whatever it is, right? There's always something with, huge organizations, government, anything really political. There's always that thing in the back of people's brain, in the back of people's mind, and in some regards, some people, they basically think of it as it's definitely a fact. Then they put it off on Twitter or fucking Facebook or anything like that, right? And I wonder if it's just gotten to a case in this world, in the Ghost in the Shell world, where it's people are sick, and it's it's just a case of they're bored and just done with this whole thing of because the only thing I could connect to the reason why these people are just trying to kill the Superintendent General of their own accord, right, is because of the whole tell the truth thing. And everyone that stood up and tried to attack him, they all said that, right? They all shouted it out. The interesting thing is those people that we saw in particular at that party that turned had a tried to attack him, if all of them were from the same source, because after Nano had got killed and people started, it all started kicking off, I was like, okay, well, he did have this pre-placed virus. Then it was, confirmed later on that wasn't the case, and it was something else. And I was like, well, it couldn't be that guy that killed him, surely. Because I don't think he would have stuck around in that room to do whatever on the fucking, on his computer, because he had to get out of there. He knew they were coming, right? So it wouldn't have been him. And I feel like That guy knew what he was doing. The guy who killed Nanao. Because I'm positive that's the same dude that Togusa was speaking to a couple episodes back. And I think when he was talking to Togusa and he was like, you know, because he's the one that led them in the direction of Nanao, right? He's the one that told Tagusa that, knowing that this is how it would all come about. And the interesting thing was that when he was when the guy was there with Nanao and he had the gun to his face and he was just like, it's enough that they think that you were the laughing, you were most likely the laughing man. It's just a thing of, I think they're trying to set, like, it's like they're trying to set it up so that, you know, if they think that he was most likely the laughing man, right, then there's not him in particular to go off. It's not just a thing that they're like, they want there to be a main source and feel like everyone else was being led by him almost. It's like there's like a secondary thing going on where I feel like the guy who was the guy who killed Nanao, right, and the same guy was talking to Tagusa, that dude knows more. Specifically because, I mean, he's part of the fucking, you know, he's part of the Force anyway, right? So I just feel like I mean, the Force was already infiltrated, right? So there was no reason to believe that he wasn't infected in some form anyway. So I don't know if there's like a separate thing going on. I mean, if my theory about the higher up is the one that sowed the seed 6 years ago or whatever, if he had this whole thing planned out and there's only a few people that know about it, or if there's like a sort of chain down whatever, and this guy, I don't know what his name is, I don't know if we got his name when he was talking to Tagusa. I think we may have done, but I didn't write it down. If he somehow knows more about the whole situation, I don't know, because he's the one that came back and it was like, shit, he just killed Nanao, and it's fine. Yeah. Fuck, I'm just gonna need more than that, aren't we? The title of the episode was Meme. Now, considering when this episode was aired, memes weren't really a thing then, you know. But there's been something else like this. And I can't remember what the fuck it was. There was something where there was a meme thing, but I think it was also something that was like before memes were a thing. So I mean, it's definitely like in some case it is definitely like you know, a form of technology, or like it's like it's something to do with technology, right? So it's just fucking unit of cultural information spread by imitation. Well, there you go then. I guess yeah, because Richard Dawkins, he talked about it in his book, or in his work, I suppose. So yeah, I guess in that regard, it completely makes sense. Like imitating the Laughing Man, right? And that's that being what it is. So it's cultural information. Yeah, completely makes sense. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I said it in the reaction as well. I love the fact that the virus has a physical manifestation, like is in sort of like its presence is there and actually heard. The Kusanagi was just talking about how there was a slight like a sort of grainy sort of sound that was coming through over the radio, and that she was able to pick up on that like, you know, it's more than likely manifesting in the within the security guards and whatnot, because it's coming through their radio, and that you're able to pick that up on like a just a sound wavelength. That must be what it is. I just like the fact that the virus is like a physical thing, you know, because I think it's just easy to just think of it as like, well, it's just a virus on a computer. Like, how could you even think of that as in a physical form, you know, because in the end it's just data, right? But it's I've always found that fascinating, is like the whole thing of like, you know, electronic signals and everything like that, like just passing data through, like how to think about it as a physical manifestation, like how would it look like, you know? And in this case, it's not how it would look like, but how it like it affects sound, though, which, you know, I really, for some reason, it intrigues me, you know. But yeah, I mean, the old man was an interesting one, because he was like, he's the one that had the face on, you know, like he didn't, there wasn't anything that he had said really. I mean, he looked like a bit fucking crazy in the sort of headquarters, the police headquarters, wherever it was, you know. But before that, he had that, like, it's like his face was like the original manifestation of the Laughing Man icon, you know. It was actually him. It would be funny if he was the original Laughing Man, wouldn't it? But, you know, it's just, yeah, interesting. I mean, I wonder what he would have done. You know, like if he had gotten there, if he'd gotten in front of the Superintendent General, like what would he have tried? You know, I don't know. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much all I've got. You know, it's given us very slight indications about what the likelihood is, which is, you know, why my theory is that it's just a case of, it was a seed that was planted 6 years ago. It's more than likely somebody in-house, and you know, they planted it 6 years ago knowing that it would sprout into something and become it's like a part of like culture at this point. It's a cultural revolution, and it's an odd way to go about it, but I'm intrigued to see where it would go, like how it's gonna continue on and manifest. So yeah, can't wait. But anyway, that's all I've got. If you do want to go and get access to episode 7 and 8 right now, you can do with early access over on my Patreon. There's also full length as well if you do want to watch it in full and not just the 10-minute version. And then there are other tiers on there where you can pay to have a show reacted to as well. So if you want me to react to a show, go have a look at those tiers, see what they offer. But that's all I've got. So thank you for watching. I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.